You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, we've spoken to the doc, and our interview is with Pauline Hanson. That'll be played after that. We have spoken to, am I mentioning it? We spoke to Tim Watson-Munro, but we're holding that over because Pauline Hanson we spoke to last week, but Parliament's starting, and that's why I don't know what I'm talking about. She's on anyhow after this. So we're going to read out a few of the comments that people give us on Facebook and Instagram and X, and also some shout-outs. Michael Christian, menswear.com, has given us a couple of shout-outs. And incidentally, I think he's been inundated with the hats, You Cannot Be Serious caps. And I think I think the run has finished, and he wanted to know should he order thousands more. And I said I'd hold off, Mick, because I'm not sure if people, maybe if you've got a hat or you wanted a hat, you would have asked for one by now, but it's been a winner. If we'd been in supermarkets or in clothing stores, we'd be driving around
Coles.
in Lamborghinis. And in fact, I do drive a Lamborghini. So we're giving a shout out to Michael Christian Menswear and Kate Save from Be Fit Food. We haven't mentioned her for a while because she was looking for contestants to go on a reality show to do with health. Wasn't she, Suzanne Stanley?
She was. It looks like it's been going very successful. I think you
Does it?
watch it. Yeah, on her Facebook page. You'd know that, wouldn't you? You follow
I don't
her
even
on.
know how to get Facebook up.
Good on you.
In order to read out the comments that people give us, I've got to ask you how do I get them? So Kate Save has very, very nutritional and diet-conscious food. I eat it myself. I am a small investor in the Kate Save Food Be Fit project. Not because I want to make any money, just because we wanted to crowd strike her. What do we do? No,
Crowdfund it.
Crowd strike. That's
And what's your favourite meal from Be Fit Foods?
Very good. They make a very nice Madras Indian curry and rice. And
very good.
They also make those very nice Don, the late Don Scott,
Yes.
used to be the erstwhile Don Scott. He used to love the
Dim Sims, was
balls.
it?
Oh,
the dimmies.
Dim Sims and the balls. He
The
used
dimmies
to love
and the
saying,
balls.
I've got Kate Save's balls. I went and picked up Kate Save's balls. He used to love that. He used to think that was so smutty. And
Salacious.
we used to laugh, and Don would go, hoo, 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 and he'd bang the table. I could do what Don used to go. If he laughed at something,
Well, let's
he'd go,
reminisce.
hoo, 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 hoo. I said, Don,
What are you doing?
Don, you're shaking.
You scared the dog.
Is that a
Just,
message?
hang on.
You've
You've hit it so hard. We've hit hopefully,
That's
we're
it.
still going, are we?
Are we still recording?
That's exactly
That's what he would do.
I hit it so hard.
The start of the
The
music.
end of the music came
It's
on.
the end of the show.
That's what he used to do. Geez, we missed on. Some of him. We missed. So what was it? So Kate Save and Mick Christian. Mention something while I ring it. Mick Christian, I should read this out because he sent about a boy who how long?
As
is
long as
it?
that. Can we give a shout out to Frank Housen as well?
Yes, go on.
Yeah,
Do
Frank is
He's a
been a bit
guest
under the
here.
weather of late, and he's a big listener of the show. And we want to all here at the show give a shout out to Frank Housen, who was on the show, whose interview you should hunt down. And he's been a bit under the weather, and we wish him the very best, and we all love him. So thank you, Frank.
You got it yet?
Yeah, I've got it, but
You can't read it.
I can read it. How much of that do you want me to look? How much of that do
Well,
you
if
want
you're
me to
going to
read?
start
out?
it, you've got to read it. We'll summarise it. You've read it
How
before.
much? Well, I'm summarising it as I read it.
Well, hurry up.
Thank you, Susan.
So is it about a young fella who had leukemia?
I think it's not about that boy. It's about... In October 22, Jim, his name is Jim. Jesus, I don't know what Jim's name is. I'm sorry about this, everyone. It was just days away from travelling to Europe with his girlfriend Ash. On the day he was diagnosed, on the day he was diagnosed and went straight to hospital. and started 6 months of chemotherapy. He was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, AML. Gee, come on, AML, acute myeloid leukemia. We are just ordinary people and understand that this happens to a lot of Australian families. So after enduring months of treatment in hospital, Jim went into remission but relapsed, and a bone marrow transplant was needed. Jim endured another month of chemo, watched Collingwood win the flag. Jim was in the offered. You kindly arranged for a shout out to him on your podcast. You cannot be serious. The kindness really gave him a laugh and lifted his spirits. So he's thankfully in remission. I think I'm just paraphrasing this. He's in remission again.
Yes.
And if by some small act of just being nonsensical here, that we added a little bit of mirth and levity to your life, Jim, we're doing it again. Ivan and Dick from Muff
Good
and
on you, Jim.
Suzanne Stanley OAM and me here, Sam, are sending you all the best.
All the
A
best.
cheerio from You Cannot Be Serious, and we hope Mick Christian will keep us updated on your progress. So all the best. It's a long text, and I should have read it out. I should have read it before I read it out.
And he's
live.
got one of our hats too.
Yeah,
You've
everyone. There's
with
more
Don.
hats going around that you can. Yes, with Don's signature on it. How
It
valuable
does.
is that?
That's rare.
Don, I think, has got arthritis in all his fingers now, and he can't sign anything. So that is just a collect. Sue said he got arthritis in his fingers, or maybe he went up to her and he put his hands over her breasts and cupped them, and she said, "What, you got arthritis in your fingers?" And I think he was just showing how big
His
Sue's
fingers
breasts
Well, I was
there is.
hoping he had arthritis, or
That was a good excuse, you think?
else I was very worried.
Come on, Don.
Yeah, no, anyhow, so that's it. Now, you might. We'll get on to Christian Horner. You know who Christian Horner is?
I do.
He's the principal of the Red Bull Racing team. And
Formula
there's-
One team.
Formula One, yep.
Yeah. And he's been charged with inappropriate behaviour at a function by, have a guess, a female employee. I tell you what, and if you read into it, the man who owned Red Bull, who funded the racing team, died, and other principals wanted to take over, and I'm not sure if they wanted to get rid of Christian Horner, who's been extraordinarily successful for about 10 years there. But there's something else going on, so they've obviously stumped up a bird to say that some inappropriate behaviour. It doesn't say it was I don't know what he might have shouted at her. He says it's absolute nonsense, and of course, Christian Horner is married to one of the Spice Girls.
Yep.
Which
Who?
one? Which Spice Girl?
Spice?
He's married to
No.
Ginger.
Ginger
Which would
Spice.
be
the
Jerry
Halliwell.
Jerry Halliwell, yeah.
And the reason, besides it being a complete bogus, I'm saying it's bogus, Christian Horner, what would he, inappropriate behaviour, what, he shouted at someone? I don't know what he did. I'm asking you, who are the other Spice Girls? What are the other, not their
Sporty
names?
Spice?
Not their names.
No,
but
that's
they're-
right. Now, there was,
Okay.
Posh Spice?
who, hang on, just a minute.
Hang on.
Go ahead, who?
Well, Posh Spice is Victoria
Posh,
Beckham.
yeah.
Yep. And
Yep.
then there was Sporty.
She's
I don't remember
married
her.
to David Beckham.
Sporty Spice, I don't remember her name. But
No, it
someone
doesn't
else.
matter.
Yep.
And there's two others.
Well, there was Ginger, who we mentioned,
No,
of
we've
course.
Ginger,
And then there's two more.
Yeah, there's one
Ginger,
called
Posh,
Mel.
Sporty, and there's two others.
Oh.
Called-
We've hit a wall here.
Yeah, Scary
Scary.
That's
yeah.
probably
and Baby.
Oh, okay.
Baby.
Sporty, Baby, Scary, Posh, and Ginger.
What was scary about Scary? None of them particularly scared
I
me.
think it was her hair. Yeah, her hair.
That's
didn't look-
right.
Speaking of hair, have you listened to some of the comments on the Facebook about Sam's haircut?
About- what is- yeah,
About
what's
it
going
looks
on
like a
there?
dunny brush.
Yeah, well, that's our friends from Namibia. The Uganda country of Uganda. I went down to Werribee to Kippers, which is a fantastic fish and chip shop, and I went across the road to this lad who, he was
An apprentice.
He was from I don't know where he's from, but he was. I can say this. I'm white. He was black. You got it in black and white when I walked in. He was as black as any person I've ever seen, and I'm as white as any person I've ever seen. And I sat down. and we couldn't really communicate. And I said, I want a haircut. He went bang, and he put the first comb on and the second comb with the clippers and the third comb. He actually shore me like a sheep. And I was fantastic.
So
I'll go back.
That look is in Uganda, Sam.
I know.
hope
I'll
you know.
go back and see him again. He was very...
And what's your normal hairdresser say about this dude?
Well, yeah, no, Michael from
Port Melbourne.
yeah, and Ibiza, you know, remember Ibiza is that island paradise
Down there in Albert Park? maybe?
No, Albert Park,
Ibiza.
Yes.
Ibiza. And a very good hairdresser, Michael, Ibiza, but I happened to be Johnny on the spot down at Werribee, and bang, he threw me. I think he had one of the council mows. He just threw me under it and started the blades, and they just took every hair I had in my head off. But he's a good man.
It's also asymmetrical, so it's longer on one side than what it is on the other side.
Asymmetrical, very nice
So when he
word.
pushes it back, it looks like he's like lopsided.
Well,
you know what they say, 3 weeks between a good and a bad.
Well, it's been a month now. It's
well, he hadn't. The lad from we had his name. He was called. Anyhow, he hadn't quite got the perspective of both sides of my head. He put the very heavy comb on one side and the very short clippers. But it looks good. Well, I'm not sure if it looks good, but I like it. So why did we say that? Oh, yeah, people say about my haircut. Now, have a go at this. Prisoners at the Barwon Detention Centre.
Yes.
Some of them are trying to give up smoking, so they've been given and issued nicotine patches. So they're taking the nicotine out of the nicotine patches, and have a guess what they're doing with them?
Putting them back in cigarettes?
They're making cigarettes out of them. You couldn't make this up. Everyone said, "Yeah, we're giving up smoking and we want nicotine patches." So they've sent truckloads down there. Said, "Gee, this is good. They're on a health kick. The people who'll never come out of jail don't know what they're on a health kick for." And so they're taking the nicotine out of the nicotine patches and rolling them up and smoking them. So they've stopped. They temporarily stopped giving the nicotine patches to the prisoners. And then the do-good lawyers and attorneys said, this is disgraceful. And have a listen, they've reinstated the nicotine patches because it said, I'm going to read this out, it said, he said, they banned them, then they restated them because they said the reason was that they were suffering extra stress from not having the nicotine patches. Well, you're in prison. How much extra stress could you have by not having nicotine patches?
No.
So they've got them back again. So they're just taking them out and smoking them.
I think it'd be bad for you, wouldn't it? It'd be worse than smoking a cigarette because God knows what other chemicals go into a nicotine patch.
I think they snort or inject.
They snort it.
No, they snort disinfectant and stuff they clean the toilets with. They do anything there because
they've got time on their hands.
Yeah, and they're very adaptable, seeing as they can't get the real Bolivian booger sugar I didn't know. Tim, we didn't mention Tim Watsamatra.
Speaking of cigarettes, have you found, like, there'll be plenty of listeners out there who know what I'm talking about, these knockoff cigarettes that you can buy from under the shelf?
Yeah, I've heard about that,
Yeah. Do you know how much they cost?
How much?
So a packet of Winnie Blues will cost you about $50 to $60.
Yep.
These Chinese knockoff ones, about $14 for a pack of. It's incredible.
Well, I don't know if you've ever bought cigarettes overseas, if you're in Bali or Thailand. I mean, they're about $5-10. And I've been to Uganda, which is your hairdresser's favourite country. They're about $2 or $3 over there, and it's a pack of Marlboros. So how is that so cheap?
So hang on. Well, I'll tell you how it's so cheap, because they don't have an excise on them to try and have people stop you smoking. So you're saying that these legitimate cigarettes?
No, they're not. They're brought in containers. So this is what I was told. Yeah,
Black market.
So the police have confiscated about 300 of these sea containers, and it only takes about 2 sea containers for the criminals to get their money back. So the police could find
Like
20
drugs.
I see.
containers.
So they're illegal.
And there's
they're
something else
illegal.
going on in this world too. There's like if people are firebombing like tobacconists. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, whoa.
What the hell's going on with that, Sam?
There's something like 50 to 60 tobacconists.
Have been firebombed.
Well, aren't they firebombing them because the tobacconists are selling what's known as chop?
Well, maybe that's
so
why
that's
it's
the chop
tobacco,
that's-
so
yeah.
that is that.
you don't buy cigarettes, tailor-made cigarettes like Marlboro and Benson Hedges. You buy the chop and make your own.
There we
And
go.
that's putting those people out of business. I think. I'm not sure if that's.
Look,
the
I think
case.
it's un-Australian, all this overtaxing of cigarettes. I mean,
Well,
both
alcohol
my
tax-
grandfathers were smokers and drinkers, and my father was a smoker and drinker. It's part of being Australian.
Yes,
if you want to
that's
do
right.
it.
He
So
lived to the ripe old age of
please, Dick,
52.
please don't link us to the fact that we're advocating people to smoke.
Well, no, but
we're not advocating that.
Of course
at all.
not.
Mind you, New Zealand is thinking of banning cigarettes altogether. How can you have a country that you're not allowed to do something that's legal in? Well, it won't be legal, illegal. So that'll keep the population
nanny state.
down.
It's the nanny state, mate.
Speaking of smoke in the air, it's Chinese New Year on Saturday. So you'll be linging in the New Year.
Linging in, yeah. I told you I went to.
That's what a mix.
Yeah.
You're out of ruck.
What was the? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Stumped him.
I've said this before, and here I went down to a in Victoria, just up from Ibiza. It was called Asiana.
Yep.
And the woman. If you think about this, it's so hard to do this. She said, the special today is lock lobster, not rock lobster. She said it's lock lobster. And I thought, if you can say lock lobster,
Yeah, you can
why
say
can't
money.
you say
Rock
rock
lobster.
lobster? Because and she said, "Do you want wedgie?" And I said, "Do I want a wedgie?" And she said, "Do you want wedgie with the do you want wedgie with the lock lobster?" And
Yeah.
I said, and then I worked that out that that's vegetables with the rock lobster. So it took a while to understand what she's talking about. And mind you, she probably couldn't understand what I was talking about because that's her dialect and mine's a different dialect altogether. So
Somehow it works.
So then we got on to the fact that I know this is a sport, but we're just I'm getting on to this. Lewis Hamilton says he's going to drive a Ferrari, not this year, but next year. How in God's name does that work? How can you drive for a company, Mercedes, knowing that you're going to drive Ferrari the next year, and take all the technology and all the upgrades and all the updates and
the
everything,
money.
and the money?
$85 million.
How does that possibly work? And why he would go to Ferrari, which are the most inept sporting company in the world, organisation of any sport, they can snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory at any given race. I have no idea how they're in business still, because they're...
Well, the finance people that listen to this, they'll know this anyway. But the minute Lewis Hamilton signed for Ferrari, the Ferrari share price put on $588 million. So if there was a little bit of insider trading, geez, you could make a packet.
Have you seen that film, Ferrari?
I
not
haven't
yet,
seen
no.
it. So Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, so they weren't happy with them. He's going to be the panacea, Lewis, is he, as he approaches 40. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Yep.
That was what Sebastian Vettel. They thought he will resurrect. Who did he drive for?
He was Ferrari in the end,
No,
wasn't
but
he?
he won 6 or 7 world championships with Red Bull, and then he went
Benetton
down to the last one company he rode for, not McLaren. I don't know who it was. And anyhow, so this is now this is the AFL. We thought things might change when the new boss came in. Mind you, he probably wouldn't be responsible for this. What's the new boss's name of the, the new boss that took over from McLaughlin?
Isn't it Gillen?
No.
Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan,
Dylan.
that's it.
Yep.
Dylan, that's exactly right. His
Yep.
name's, Andrew Dylan, is it? Is it Andrew Dylan? Oh, well,
Yep.
thank you, Suzanne Stanley. How are you?
No relation to Bob.
No.
Spelled differently.
So anyhow, this is the new edict just come out, hot off the wires. The AFL have banned whistling.
Whistling.
Banned.
Whistling.
Why? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
offend somebody?
Yep.
They've banned whistling because it's confusing. So if you're on the bench and you whistle, people think it's the umpires have blown a whistle, or it's confusing. So they've banned whistling.
Wow.
Yeah, I know you find this hard to believe that in this day and age of rules and regulations and the game going, they've banned whistling, and also they've allowed straight arm blocks in ruck contests. So that is, so you can put your arm straight out and block someone.
Yep.
So here's another huge
Would you have done
development in the game to progress it into the next millennium. They banned whistling, and straight arm blocks are allowed in the ruck. What?
Would you have done that in your day, or
We
Don?
did everything in our day.
Just throw the leg out,
Don used
throw
to
two
smash
arms
me
out.
over there.
Don't worry
He
about
used
the
to
ball.
knee me. He used to hit me in the plums. He did everything. But the straight arm block is okay. So just watch the umpires have a field day. And if you are sprung whistling at someone or whistling,
What's the punishment, Sam?
exactly the way, sew your lips up.
Yep.
Or what do they do?
Whistling to get
They
the chips.
take your voice box
50
out.
lashes.
Or you might get fined $100,000 for whistling.
Kicked out of the game.
Oh, you can't.
They'd have degrees of penalties, so you'd
Is that
have to
right?
go and read the rule book for it. So depending, maybe if you do it once, then you get maybe a warning.
serious?
What if you get twice? Then you might get another warning. Third, you might lose a play. I don't know. But you'd have
Hang
to
on,
read the
is
rules.
Is this players or spectators whistling?
No. It's just on the interchange bench. So it's players, managers, football coaches,
I don't know. You might
etc.
want to get someone's attention. Go,
Yeah.
come off the ground.
Hey, give me another beer
and
or-
see
No,
that.
it does interfere with. It interferes with the media.
Oh, that's right.
The
broadcast.
broadcasting. Yes,
That's right.
They get confused.
I forgot the main part of it. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's right. So that while the television's going on, you hear someone whistling. You think, shit, what was that? Well, what did the umpire blow the whistle? So it's the tail wagging the dog.
Yep. It's the media telling the game what to do.
So degrees of penalty, I didn't realise that. So here's the thing. So someone will be charged. Ivan has been charged now with whistling, and he said, "No, I didn't whistle. It was the bloke next to me." He said, "No, we saw your lips purse.
Yep.
We ran the tape back, and you looked as though you expressed a whistle."
He might have been.
He said, "I was just easy. I was just breaking wind, and I."
Come out the wrong way.
Or blowing a kiss at blowing
Is there any law against passing wind? Is that, that's still
that's
goes under the radar.
Imagine if you could fart to a tune. They could say, we want that player off the ground. That might be. So
Is that the dog?
So that's.
I know. He blames the dog always for the dirty smells underneath the desk. It's really you, Mr. Newman, isn't it?
No, I never break wind in public, ever. So, thank you, Susan. So, an Australian golfer. This is the vagaries of the law.
The great game.
An Australian golfer has been declined a visa now did you know this? To compete
I did hear
overseas
this.
because an official gave him an incorrect visa 10 years ago?
Yep, when he was a kid.
When
That's
he was
right.
a kid, and he's been playing golf backwards and forwards, and some officious person at the counter said, "Oh, this seems to be the wrong visa." And he said, "Well, I've been coming backwards and forwards playing golf for 10 years,
Yep.
and now he can't follow the tour." This is from a country that has allowed 7 million illegal migrants to
From down
wash
south.
across their border with no visa, no nothing, no anything, and they've got a bloke who actually has a visa, given an incorrect one by an official, and been using it for 7 or 8 years, and he can't pursue his sport.
livelihood.
Extraordinary.
He cannot make it up. So that's
Mind you, there's a bit of a standoff, isn't there, between the Texas border guards and the National Guard? Something about
There's something going on there, isn't there?
There's
Yeah.
something big.
Some
I
rumour
believe
of-
on the 25th of February, there's a ride down to Texas
Yep.
with all the trucks, and
Yep.
they're going to maintain the border.
I mean, isn't it incredible that America is essentially being invaded from the southern border at the moment? And where is the US Army? They're off in the Middle East. They're fighting like Iran and like Syria and in Iraq, and they're attacking Yemen. It's like, hang on a minute, why isn't the US Army defending America? What is it doing over in the Middle East, fighting wars that most people no longer care about in the least?
Now, quite right, Dick. So we like to read out comments because
Do we?
I could read out all the ones that say they think it's fantastic, and all we do is invite people to slag us by reading these out, but it makes adds
fun.
a degree of humour for the absolute pitiful, virtuous shrimp and insects that bother to write in. The fact that it doesn't bother us means that's why we like reading them out.
You don't think it perpetuates it?
Well,
you
that's
get
right.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, that's right. So, but
Well, what have people got to say,
We might
Sam?
devote a whole part to reading out all the good things people say about Sue. You know, they bag Susan, and then everyone loves her, and then they bag you and me. Christ, I get more bagging than any and Dick. So Nigel Pavlich, I think, he says, the Essendon Football Club, he said, have a listen to this, the Essendon Football Club have now put on a post that their training camp is up at Yorta country, which is Shepparton. So they've embraced the name of the Indigenous name they've given to Shepparton. So everyone, if you want to watch Essendon train, go up to Yorta.
I wouldn't know where that is.
Well, that's Shepparton. That's the name for
Ah,
Shepparton.
Shep.
So
Shep.
they've jumped onto the virtuous bandwagon. Yeah,
What a bunch of
if
nonsense.
they could just jump onto the fact that they could get someone to play football rather than worry about the political correctness of bullshit they carry on with. Wayne Hamilton. He says, is this your actual page on Facebook? What would that mean, Suzanne?
I know there is another fake page out there.
Is there?
Yeah, well, someone
You should get the
started
tick. You know about the tick?
He's got this tick, he's got everything, but someone started up a Facebook page called You Cannot Be Serious.
Yep.
But that is not us, so
Yep.
that is nothing to do with this
How can they do
podcast.
that?
That's right.
Can
Is
you
it
take
any
it
good,
down?
though?
Can you get that taken
Well, you
down?
have to join the group. So
How can they, if that's ours, is that registered?
and it's got your face on it.
Well, how
It's got
can
everything on it.
people say, start up a podcast school, You Cannot Be Serious, if it's not us?
I know, but then how do you get? And this is the problem. How do you contact Facebook to stop it? I mean,
Can we get Mark Zuckerberg on the show to defend his, platform?
We'll make a call to him.
Because there's a lot of identity theft. Basically, you can log on and set up a page for whatever you like.
Well,
Sam.
these people who make
You
the
can set up a
comments-
Don Scott page, for
But
example.
if you put it, the people who do the bad comments, you go into their
Yep.
profile, they're just fake accounts.
Yeah, they're bots, yeah.
If you're going to be, give a comment, at least be man up and
have a real
account. Identity.
Now
Yeah.
this,
Be a coward
this
or
alternate,
pigs.
this alternate Facebook. How many followers do they have? Not more than us, do they?
Pretty much only started about 4 months ago, I reckon. They got up to
when
over
people
1,000
listen to
pretty
it, they'd
quickly.
know that it's not me, would they, obviously, or us?
Well, we don't know because they've got your profile, it's got your logo and your name and Newman and Don Scott's picture on it, and You Cannot Be Serious.
Well,
So
that's got to be, that's got to be able to be taken down. Well, so what's their content? Them speaking about
Well,
it?
you can't get in until you join, so you actually have to join the group. So it's like a group forum. So they're too cowardly just to do it open
But is
because
it like a
obviously they'll
fans
know.
forum? I mean, can fans set up a show, to discuss it?
Well,
I
it
mean,
doesn't say it's a fan, but yeah. But it,
Well, so could we say right here and now that if you log into a podcast called You Cannot Be Serious, although it's got my photo and Don's photo, and but if you have to pay for it, you have to pay for it, do you?
no. You
Subscribe
just
to
have no. They just
Like
you
it.
just you
Join.
You
You
have
join.
to join,
Yep.
and then the admins
It's a group.
will-
It's called a
yeah,
group.
It's a group. So they can say anything within that group that you don't know about unless you're
it's
actually in the
private,
group
yep.
because it's private.
Have you joined it?
No.
Ooh.
I
Well,
don't
one
have
of
a
us
fa- I
should
don't
to
have
find
a-
out what's
I don't
going
have
on.
a fake account. They'll know who I am.
If you want to read out some comments, maybe they got some good ones.
Start getting material.
Kathy Udnadison. She works for BMW, and she said, "I'd like to meet you." That's me.
Very good.
Why not?
All right.
Bring her on.
Thank you, Kathy. Next time I'm thinking of buying a BMW, which I never thought of ever buying a BMW, but I'll come down and I can
You'll-
meet you. Stan Pitcher. Stan Pitcher. He's
That's a good name.
Stan Pitcher.
Pitcher.
What did he
That's-
say? Let's just.
Could be a
I've got
movie
him on
star.
my phone.
Could be a good
Yes.
baseball star.
Stan Pitcher. Yes, you idiot. Stan Pitcher.
What's he look like?
Stan Pitcher. Why haven't I got it on here? Stan Pitcher. I said it's this phone here, and I took a photo of what Stan Pitcher said, and there it's not there. Jesus.
Well, just while we're filling
Yeah,
some
fill
time
in
before
here.
we get to Stan
Ivan.
Pitcher, I was watching the 6 p.m. news, Channel 9 last night. Tony Jones was on, and he was interviewing a lady. They were down there at Port Melbourne Yacht Club. It was about, I think, the Blue Diamond
Nice.
Stakes.
Yep.
Yeah, so the racing industry. And he asked a question, and he obviously was asking it in reference to the horse.
Yep.
And then he puts the microphone in front of the horse,
What
like
the horse
horse
has
was
to
going to.
That's like,
like, Tony,
Mr. Ed,
what
was
are
he?
you
Was he-
doing?
Was he like Mr. Ed?
Mr. Ed, that's it.
There's a show we all miss, isn't it? We love all those
All borough.
1950s shows, don't we? Mr.
I'm trying to
Ed.
find what Stan Pitcher said. I was going to read it out. Neil Mitchell.
Did he comment?
I presume it's Neil Mitchell, unless
Why-
it's someone
yep,
saying
absolutely.
it's not. He says that I should do a series on Netflix with Mick Sheehan. I don't know what that means, but I might ask him when I'm going to his retirement gig on Friday. He said, I don't know what that meant. If that's him, and I told you that Darren Hinch is having his 80th on Saturday, which I can't go to. A lot of people text in and say they miss Don.
Yep.
A lot of
Yep.
people do
I
that.
do
so,
too.
Yeah, we all miss Don, most of him. If you can find Stan Pitcher there while we're doing this, Tito Tattens
Tito.
said Greg was great. This is Greg
Oh,
Evans.
yes. Yeah, I wanted to say that as well.
Yes.
I think he's
He
fantastic.
said he was great. And,
From Perfect Match.
He was as good as he said
Perfect
as
Match.
Warwick the Wiz was bad.
Oh,
And the Wiz,
and he
you
didn't
know,
like
has
the Wiz.
just been asked to go to I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here in South Africa. Did you know that?
He seemed a little jolly. I listened to that episode, and
Yes,
he seemed
did.
a little happy.
Well, I don't think he knew then,
Yeah,
unless that was
Maybe.
under wraps.
under wraps.
And maybe it's still under wraps because he just told me in confidence. And Tito Taten said that I'm what I called Neil Mitchell. I'm a curmudgeon, which means you're difficult and rude. I think it means. Matt Kay said, "Stay classy." So thanks, Matt.
Nice.
He obviously thinks I'm classy.
Got a good show going.
And here's now.
Class act.
Here's we still can't find what Stan Pitcher was on about, but this is a man. Now here's a man called Mark Spender. Now we'll just get Mark Spender up here.
A big spender.
This is
old Shirley
this
Bassey.
is what happens when you don't put who you are and what you look like. You just want to have we're
An avatar. Or
happy to do with it. And so this is what happens when you're a virtuous piece of pig's vomit. This is what you do.
Yep.
He said, "Are you still a racist, Sam Boy? Sam Boy. They used to be
Samboy.
chips.
Sam Boy, yeah.
Sam
They
Boy
were
chips.
good.
We missed those
Are they
chips.
still allowed to be called
No.
Sam Boy?
Probably
they're
not.
not-
No,
they're not
they
around.
probably went out with coon cheese and,
and
other things.
Redskins.
Redskins. Yep.
Yep.
Or finally, and have you finally and laterally? Or, would that mean literally, or was he
Yeah.
got laterally?
No.
I think he might mean literally.
Yep.
Laterally. Well, Mark's obviously
Illiterate.
obviously only partially educated, and apologised to Mr. Adam Goods and Mr. Winmar
All right.
for your white arrogance. Now, see, so this piece of pig's vomit, who doesn't put his
Real name.
who he is,
Yep.
or no followers, that's fine. But silly Mark, if that's his real name, is labouring under the misapprehension that if you criticise someone from another country or race, you are, by virtue, a racist, which is so illogical, or else that just precludes half the people you deal with from not having an opinion about them. So I don't have an adverse opinion of either of those two people. I just made a comment on some of the things they've done or said. So thank you, Mark. But this is what happens when you're a coward. You don't know who you are.
No followers.
No followers, and but we like to read it out just to show that It doesn't worry us. It doesn't worry us. And finally, this is, I'll read this out. This is what Paul Hogan, and I presume he's...
Paul Hogan. Hogs.
Paul Hogan said this about, this is what, and I'll, Mark, whatever his name was, what did I say his name was? Mark Hayes. No, I didn't. This is what Hogue said about, and also the people up at the Yorta camp at the Essendon Football Club. This is what Hogan said. Well, he said this in Crocodile Dundee. Well, you see, Aboriginals don't own the land they just belong to it. It's like their mother. See, those rocks have been standing there for 600 million years. This is Uluru or Ayers Rock.
Oh, yeah.
It'll still be there when you and I are gone. So arguing over who owns them is like two fleas arguing on who owns the dog they live on. So that's a reasonable thing that Hogue said in Crocodile Dundee all those years ago.
Wise words from the Hogues.
We're all just inhabitants of the land. No one owns it, or we all own it, one of the two. And I still can't find what Steve Pitcher said, but I'm sure it would have been...
Enlightening.
Enlightening.
Yeah, there we go.
So there we are. So that's the podcast. Anything else, Dick, that you were going to bring up?
Oh no, just again to shout out to Frank Housen. I know he's listening. I know he's.
Did we not do that?
We did before. Yep.
Yes, Frank was on here and was very popularly received. So how is he? He's not in good health.
Not in good health, mate. And just wanted to cheer him up a little, and hope that he has a soft landing, as the saying goes.
Yep.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Nothing annoys me more than Steve Pitcher that I could not work out.
Where was it on? What platform was it?
That's a good question, Sam. It could be on anything. You got to look up everything.
On Instagram?
Well, it could have been
I can
there.
look it up. I'll have it to you in 2 seconds.
This one. It was on this one. I'm going to find. It was on Instagram.
Instagram.
How
All
do I
right. Well,
find
you
that?
just look up your page.
You go to
and there it is.
Instagram.
Yeah, well, I've gone to that.
I've
I've gone to that.
We're getting
There it
there.
is. Original Sam Newman.
Where do I get the comments?
When did he comment?
No,
Oh, no.
probably not worth even doing it.
What's his name?
Steve Pitcher.
Steve Pitcher. Okay.
He's having more than his 5 minutes of fame.
This guy-
Monica Smith was an amazing lady, like peaches and cream, coaching a team. I don't know what that means. Good on you, Sam.
Monica
More
is
people
amazing.
with your level should reach out. Oh, see, these are all the good ones. Woohoo! Monica is amazing. That was Monica Smith, who was a career criminal put in jail for... can't wait to hear this. Yep, Greggy was good. You're the best. See all these things. We love you. Good work, Sam. Good work, Sue. Love
Look at
your
you.
work, Sammy.
Look at you.
Where's Steve Pitcher? If Steve's not on here.
Maybe he deleted his comments, Sam.
No, it was good.
he loves him.
Kramer, Bonanza. Can't do it. But there is so many good comments about all of us here,
Yep.
but I can
Well,
read
that's
them
good.
out, but I don't want you to get a swelled head or anything
No,
else
yeah.
swell up on your body. So that's it. I don't know what Steve said. I know I wrote
Well,
it down because I thought it was quite
hold
good.
it over to next
wasn't
week.
Wasn't quite complimentary, but it wasn't bad.
We'll take it under advisement then.
That's it.
All right,
Paul.
one last thing. Monday, Super Bowl. It's the Chiefs versus the 49ers, and there's an Aussie from Perth playing in it. Mitch, I'll try and get his name right. Wishnowski.
He's playing in it.
He's playing in it.
He's an Aussie.
He's an Aussie from Perth. He's on the 49ers side. So what's that? San Francisco 49ers.
Well, I
So
tell
it's
you who
Monday.
we might put a call into. We might put a call into the great Eddie Maguire, who's over there. He's at the Super Bowl. So
Fantastic.
I don't know what time it goes there. We could speak to him while he's in the stadium watching. We'd have to get up at 4 a.m, so you'd have to get up. And
Taylor Swift is singing, I think. Is that correct? Half time.
I don't know.
Is she,
No,
when is she
they've
coming
always-
out
She's a
here?
psyop, I've heard. It's a rumour.
There's always good commercials half time anyway.
Well, you know, sometimes when there's got a big group or someone playing at the MCG, you can actually stand outside and you can listen to all the music
Yep.
and everything
Yeah, of
like
course,
that, so you
yeah.
don't go in.
Yeah.
Well, they're now banned for the Taylor. So
Really?
Tay fans have been told to stay away.
Oh, no.
They're not allowed to go there for the safety of the people who have paid their tickets when they come out. They don't want to be bombarded by too many people there.
By the Swifties.
What? What? They're stopping people from listening This is a bit like whistling at the AFL. They've stopped people from listening to Taylor Swift outside the stadium.
Correct. On the concourse of the MCG.
Holy
That's
mackerel.
at opposite ends of the spectrum of what we do for the Australian tennis. Like we'll have the tennis there at Melbourne Park Stadium, and then anyone that wants to turn up, get your ticket, and you can go on the
But you still have to
outskirts.
pay. So you still have to pay, whereas this is a
Ah.
free, this is, you're just sitting outside listening free, of
So
course.
they're
Just take-
stopping the public walk in public spaces.
Correct.
Because how far away
What a bunch of
won't
Just try and
Taylor
stop
Swift
'em.
sound carry?
No
Is there
chance.
a kilometre limit that you can get within a kilometre of the MCG? And if you live in a house within
Open a
a
window.
kilometre, you must move out for the duration of the concert.
Close
Close the
seal
windows, seal the windows.
True.
That's
This
garbage.
nanny
That's
state.
terrible.
How did we end up, Sam, in this nanny state?
Do you
And
want
for the
to-
How did we-
safety of the patrons coming out.
The paid patrons coming out.
The paying patrons.
That is, yeah. Wonder what the embargo distance between the how far do you have to be away before you can't hear a voice?
And who would enforce that? Surely. Who? What?
Oh,
the MCC?
People that put you in
Oh.
jail for walking more than 3 down the footpath when you got COVID.
Yeah, those. Whatever happened to those kind of? They were called. They had a certain name, didn't they? They were officers. They were elected officers who would enforce the COVID rules.
They're called
Public order.
SS men, the
Yeah,
henchmen.
the Gestapo.
Yeah, the Gestapo. All right, well, there
Morality
we are.
police.
The
Well, that
COVID
was
Gestapo.
That's the final. That is the best bit that we left for the end. That you cannot stand outside the MGG and listen to Taylor Swift.
You got Pauline Hanson on for your interview today.
We have. We've
Big
got
interview.
Did
Pauline-
you know who Pauline Hanson's brother is?
No. Who?
Fatty Vorton.
Bullshit.
Paul. It is.
Pauline Hanson's
Yes.
brother
No.
is Fatty Vorton.
Yes.
Really?
Go on, look
Oh,
at it.
no.
And you forgot to ask her.
I didn't know.
How rude. Well, you should
Did
be
you
doing
know?
a bit of research.
Did you know?
I did. I took a screen grab of it.
Well, why didn't you tell me while I was speaking to her?
I forgot.
Oh, you forgot.
Bit like
I forgot to
the
read-
address.
I
You
forgot to send Heidi Victoria.
You better go and have a cup of coffee and
How
make up.
about that? I was just about to belt her for not coming in. I said, give her an opportunity to come in, and what she do, stands us up. About to say that, I was.
And you haven't called her yet, too. You said on the other episode that you said you'll give her a call in the break. I don't think you've done that.
No, I haven't.
Well, I haven't had a break, Ivan. I'm
We're
sitting
still
here
on the
speaking
same
to you.
show.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to close off
Jeez,
now, and then I'm
42
going to
minutes.
ring her. Holy shit, here we go. So, well done, everyone. That's it.